2024. What a year so far. A year of change and a year of challenges for businesses, charities and consumers alike. With continued rising costs and economic uncertainty, we're still having to think carefully about how and where we spend our money. As our communities chart a course forward, Pennies is working tirelessly to show that authentic social impact is not only achievable, but can be delivered in a simple, easy and affordable way that creates real change. For the everyday consumer, Pennies has become an amazing opportunity to be part of something much bigger, to create positive impact without significant cost, doing good a little and often. Over the past 12 months, we've seen Pennies micro-donations continue to rise, now receiving a donation every 0.6 seconds, raising thousands of pounds every day of every week. And at a time when demand on the charity sector is ever increasing, Pennies is needed now more than ever. So, we need your help. We invite businesses to join us, helping to provide an omni-channel platform to grow the micro-donation movement and protect the vital funds so desperately needed by the charities that your customers and colleagues care so deeply about. By the end of the year, Pennies will have unlocked over 250 million donations, generating £60 million in critical funds that otherwise simply would not exist. That's 50 million micro-donations in a single year. With over 150 brands now live in-store, online and in-app across thousands of shops, venues, pubs and restaurants, Pennies' growth is accelerating. And despite the tumultuous background to the last few years, this acceleration is increasing, generating massive positive impact and social change in our communities thanks to your amazing customers and colleagues. As we venture to an uncertain future, there is still something that we can all afford to do. If every cardholder in the UK donated just 35p every week, we can inject an extra £1 billion into the charity sector. This is the moment. So, be part of a legacy. Be part of something huge. Help us grow micro-donations so that more people can give a little and often, adding up to making a big difference for so many. Together, today. And remember, it all starts with the humble penny.
Good evening everybody, and a very warm welcome to the Pennies Autumn Celebration 2024. It's so good to see so many of you here. We need more chairs, don't we? That's fantastic to see so many of you here. But also we want to say a huge welcome to those of you who are tuning in virtually online as well. It's great to have you with us as well. So, you've made a good choice tonight. You will not be disappointed about the next few hours you're going to spend of your time. My name is Sally Bundock. I'm a financial journalist. I work for BBC News. I read the news for a living, as well as grill lots of people like you and others. Some of you I have grilled on my programme, I know that for sure. And yes, we can chat about that later. But most of the time, I have to say, I am the bearer of bad news. Quite often, I am the bearer of bad news. But not tonight. Not tonight. This is the 5th year that I've hosted this special event. I absolutely love this evening, and I can tell you why. This is the ultimate in feel-good factor. And do be prepared tonight to be challenged, to be hugely inspired, to be encouraged, and you may even shed a tear tonight. You may. So let me give you, we've just seen some fantastic statistics already on the screen, but just to give you another impressive one, when I first hosted this event in 2020, and I'm sure I don't need to remind you that back then We were in lockdown. There was the COVID pandemic, of course. That year, Pennies was celebrating 100 million donations, which at the time, given the economic challenges that households and businesses were facing, was absolutely awesome. Well, tonight we're going to hear about even more acceleration and many more impressive numbers. So brace yourself for that. Now, before we get going, we'd just like to say a few thank yous to those who've helped to make tonight possible. So the sponsor, Worldpay, thank you once again so much for your support. Also, thank you. The awards sponsor, Verifone, we'd also like to give you a huge thank you as well. Thank you for your support. And we must say thanks to Rothschild. What a stunning location this is. It's an absolutely beautiful building. The views are really quite breathtaking. And actually, I thought it's pretty apt to be here because as you will learn tonight about the power of pennies, micro-donations that mean the sky is the limit. So, we have got tonight, as you can see, we've got all sorts of inspirational speakers. We've got quite an agenda for you this evening as we celebrate what Pennies is up to. But we also learn a lot about how to work with Pennies. We're going to hear a lot about the Pennies journey. But also, we will celebrate the social action superstars of this year. We'll be giving out the 5th annual Pennies Awards. So that gives you a taste of what is to come. But before we do any of that, let's first hear from the woman who got all of this started. Now, I've mentioned I'm a financial news journalist, and for a long time I have been interviewing all sorts of people, the good, the bad, the ugly. I have interviewed some incredibly impressive people, I have to say, people that I call super achievers. Can I tell you that Alison Hutchinson knocks them all out the park? Absolutely, absolutely. Any of you who know Alison, who've worked with Alison, will, as your applause tells me, will absolutely agree. Alison has led Pennies as chief executive since its conception in 2010. So please, once again, give her a very warm welcome.
I'm just so delighted I'm not bad and ugly, Sally. Thank you. You've made my night already. No, seriously, can I please offer a huge warm welcome to you all? I can't tell you how excited I am to see a room full of leaders that are working together to help us do something that we think is a little bit special. And for those of you joining us from home, well, I know some of you are in different countries, and in fact, some in different continents. So whatever time of the day it is, thank you for dialing in to be part of our special evening. When we brainstormed this evening to think about what might the right theme be, we had a whole range of ideas. And then we landed on the one behind us, which was accelerating social change and the role that microdonations have. Now, when we decided on that, we nearly scrubbed it, because we stepped back and said, we're only talking about the humble penny. We're only talking about little micro-donations. Can we really accelerate social action and social change? Well, then we reflected that actually, Pennies, as you all know, is a charity. We do this for the charity sector. And as a charity, our raison d'etre is to drive social change, is to drive social action. And we've granted out over 1,040 different charities who are all driving social action. So we decided we would be bold and we'd stick with that theme. And I hope tonight you'll be inspired by many of the speakers you'll hear later to want you to join in a little bit more. But more of that later. I'd like to say a couple of thank yous from myself. Firstly, could I add my thanks to Worldpay? They've been partner of ours since we launched, actually, all these years ago. And not only have they made tonight happen, it feels that every colleague and customer event we're invited along to share the Pennies story, and you're doing an amazing work for us. And I know we've got solutions across so many platforms. So Tom, thank you very much from Worldpay. Sally. It's just not the same without you. It's just not the same without you. She brings professionalism, she brings passion, she holds us to account. And quite frankly, we can't imagine an event ever without you. And I know what time you got up this morning, and I know how challenged you were in some of your interviews you had this morning. So to stay up late and to be with us, our sincere thanks and honour. Thank you, Sally. Now, the last set of people I'd like to thank is all of you, our partners, our ambassadors, our volunteers, our funders, our retailers, our hospitality partners, our tech partners, our payment partners. The list goes on. Pennies is nothing, absolutely nothing but an idea without the people in this room, the people at home, and the people that can't be with us this evening. We might have an idea, but you all make it happen. So I wanted to say thank you and congratulations, because 2024, so far, has been the best year we have ever enjoyed. Despite the challenging world, we're up 27% year on year, which I think is a real credit to everyone. Thank you. And with all of your help, we do hope that by the end of this year, we'll reach 50 million donations in a year. Do you know how long it took us to do our first 50 million? 7 years. And here we are looking to hitting 250 million consumer donations by the end of this year. It blows our minds, and all of you are part of making that happen. Now, for those of you that do know me, you probably know I like a few fun facts. So me and the team got our little heads around a few fun facts to try and bring alive the power of a penny. So first of all, we took one of the average days in August. I can tell you pennies never have an average day. But anyway, we took one of the average days in August. We took all those digital donations. We stacked them up as if they were real pennies and tried to work out how high would one day in August go in terms of micro-donations. Do you think we'd make it to the top of Snowdonia? Yeah? No? Nod, yes? Twice? 3 times? How about 5.3 times? In fact, it's 50 times the height of St Paul's in one day of micro-donations, which is really quite amazing. We then thought we'd do one more, so forgive me, I've got one more. But Nick Merriman, who's kindly joining us in the panel this evening, we thought we'd try and take one of your English heritage sites to help us with this inspiration. So we picked Hadrian's Wall. Now, don't ask why we had that discussion in the Pennies office, but we did pick Hadrian's Wall. And what we did is we took all the donations we've had since the 1st of January at the beginning of this year up to yesterday. We turned them into physical pennies. We laid them side by side. How many times would you have to walk up and down Hadrian's Wall to cover the distance of those pennies? Nick, any idea? That's not fair. You didn't even know I was sharing it.
It's not something we've done before.
Fair, that's a fair answer. The answer is 131 times up and down Hadrian's Wall. So I think, Nick, maybe you and I should think of a little plaque we can put to remind people when they're gifting to English heritage the real miles of a difference they're making for you and the great work that you do. So thank you. So now, a little bit of a step back. How does it feel to be in the charity sector right now? It's tough. It is really, really tough. But it's not all bad news, but it is tough. It's probably the toughest year this year than it's been, certainly since COVID, but it's definitely been the toughest year. And most of us in the sector talk about it becoming the new norm, whatever the new norm means. I've never done norm, so I don't quite know what new norm means, but we're told it's a new norm. And what's great news, and we should absolutely thank that all the donations, whether it be from legacies or companies or individuals, actually the amount donated to charity last year, the Charities Aid Foundation, who measure this on behalf of the sector, reckoned it increased by about 8%, which is phenomenal and actually something we should be hugely appreciative of and a great example of how people still want to give. But herein lies the challenges. 7 out of 10 charities have seen a significant increase in the demand of their services. 25% of charities have had to reduce those services because they cannot afford to make them available. 15% of charities have made more redundancies this year than ever before. And I know the sector's not immune to any other sector that are going through these issues. But what's most worrying, I think, is that 55% of charities have had to go into the reserves to fund their activities this year. And that is not a good state of health for the long term for the charity sector. And that's why I think the work they all do is absolutely phenomenal. But I think it's on us to try and find new ways to give a little bit more back, and that's what we're trying to do with Pennies. Now, if I look at the business community here, I know it's not been easy for you either. Trading's been tough. Hopefully it started to pick up footfall in September, so we're looking for a little bit more positivity. But you have to keep innovating. You have to keep focusing on how you deliver for customers. And I'm delighted and looking forward to our amazing panel later on that will talk to you about what they are doing, particularly when it comes to still making time to give back. Now, actually, last year, the FTSE 100 reduced their giving to charity by 15%, which is quite a large sum. That's over 300 million less that came from that part of giving, and maybe understandable given all the challenging market we were in. But actually, you've got a whole breed of new companies. We've got 2,000 B Corps now in the UK who are building in people, planet, profit community right from day one. And they are starting to be a new, growing community that are really helping us to give back. And in this room, we have two sectors that way punch a bit above their weight. The BRC measure what the retail community give back to charity. And last year, they managed to say that was around £540 million from products sold, from gifts, from money raised, from time, which is phenomenal for the retail sector. In the hospitality sector, the best equivalent I could find is Pub Aid, which mainly focuses on the pub chains across the UK. And they estimate they donate over 100 million across the sector. And I know that doesn't include everybody in hospitality. But for consumer-facing businesses, I would like to say thank you, because you stand up and punch above your weight, and the charity sector really appreciates that. So well done, absolutely everybody. And then we come back to the consumer, and how are they feeling about giving? Well, we did our annual Pennies research just a couple of weeks ago, and there were some interesting insights that we got from that research. As ever, the general public love to give. But 57% of people have said they just cannot afford to give what they used to give because they just don't have the money in their pockets, particularly those big donations that people feel they want to give, but they're not able to give. Now, when we then looked at the preferred way of giving, it might surprise you. It did surprise me in some ways, but not other. But the preferred way of giving is still dropping coins in a charity box. And yet we're living this cashless life. I mean, how many of us in a room have coins in our pockets? And yet still, the public say they prefer that. Why do they prefer it? It's easy, it's affordable, it's anonymous, and they can do it because they've got the cash in their pocket and they can give. Now, what we are really happy to announce tonight is that third most popular way of giving, which has come from nowhere, due to this research, is rounding up at checkout. Which means the vision we started with at Pennies was to take the favourite behaviour, to recognise we were shopping differently, and to make sure we move that behaviour onto new ways of paying, new channels. And for us to see that this didn't even exist when we started, to be the third most preferred way of giving, it gives us a lot of heart for what we can do in terms of driving more donations. And let's not forget, as we said earlier, if every UK adult gave the equivalent of a chocolate truffle, that is £1 billion of new money for the charity sector in the UK alone. So there's an awful lot we can do, and we haven't really scratched the surface. So maybe just before I close, a few words about Pennies. It's great, all those numbers, but what are we doing behind the scenes? What are you doing behind the scenes? How are you helping us get ready for 2025 and the challenges ahead? Well, first of all, last year we mentioned we were moving into our first new country, into the Republic of Ireland. And I'm delighted to say that a year on, we've doubled the donations in the Republic of Ireland. And we've proven how easy it is for our partners to move from the UK with sterling into euros. Now, we're now able to move into the other countries in Europe, but I'm not going to say too much about that yet, because there might be somebody in the panel talking about what they plan to do to hold hands with us and move us into the European sector. But that is really exciting. We also have to innovate and find new products and technologies, and there's 3 that have been made available in the last few weeks that I thought I'd share with you. First of all, and I know Anna's here somewhere, I can't see for the lights, but Acrylic have been a real partner and a real force to help us take pennies onto the kiosks, so that when you're in ordering your food in a Burger King, you will be able to click and donate a few pennies to charity. We just went into trial last week, and I'll leave Tim to share more about what we're doing going forward. But that doesn't just unlock Burger King. We've got a whole number of partners that are really keen to follow in the footsteps, so we're super excited about that. Secondly, and I'm going to sound a bit like a nerd, but actually, I'm really excited about split settlement. Aren't you? No? No? Okay. I am a nerd. But for the retailers around you, we have with Stripe managed to get the first time of splitting settlement. And all that means is it's easier for merchants to enter and to support pennies. And it's also the gateway and the platform to help us find a route into helping smaller businesses. So don't worry if you're not excited. We are super excited about split payments, and we're allowed to be. So that's a really big win. And then the third one is something we've been challenged, particularly by our advisory board and by our trustee board, which is what more can we do to make it easier for our apps and digital journeys to embrace pennies. And the team have been working incredibly hard, and Holly heads up our product and development team. And 2 weeks ago, we launched our new Shopify extension into the App Store. Within 30 minutes, Newbie had downloaded it, we're live, and we're doubling their donations. That is how we're making it easier for merchants to embrace pennies online. So absolutely well done to the team. And then, of course, there's all of the merchants around. You're the ones at the front end. You're the ones that actually help us make it really happen. And as you know, it's your charities that we support, and we work very hard to show you how we can get the best customer journey, the best colleague engagement, and then actually the most donations flowing. And we've now, as you might have noted, have 150 merchants as part of this pennies movement. And we've had more joining us this year than ever before. And what's lovely is it opening out into new segments, coffee bars, into zoos, into football clubs, moving into lots more segments where we weren't able to move. And there's more that I know I'm working on with some of you in this room to get the first individual organisation that then unlocks a whole new sector. But a few in particular I thought I'd mention tonight that literally has gone live very recently. So Mama and Papa's went live, which is a fantastic brand. David Lloyd Leisure went live in its first store, which is an amazing brand. We've had Majestic that not only gone live, I went to test it on Saturday, might have bottled a few bottles, but the journey was amazing and I enjoyed a lovely bottle of wine. But Majestic have now rolled out very quickly from being pilot to live. And the one that does make me irk a little bit, but I've got to remember, I'm here to drive donations. But as a Newcastle United fan, Sunderland beat us and we're live yesterday. I'm just saying I've got a lot of work to do to get Newcastle on side. But that was a little bit irky, but it's all for the right purpose. So these merchants are growing, and they're growing fast. And without your help, we cannot be who we are. But I guess by far, the single biggest merchant we welcomed to the Pennies family this year was Superdrug, supporting Marie Curie, who are an amazing charity that they've partnered with for many, many years. The diligence they put into the trial, the preciseness, getting the customer journey right. We had a yellow penny to help represent Marie Curie. Marie Curie spent lots of time, and if you ever want to know what collaboration looks like, I can genuinely say working with them has been an absolute dream. But I thought I'd share just a short video to let you know what they've been doing and how they've been getting on. Thank you.
Marie Curie, we are the leading end-of-life care charity in the UK, and we support anyone, anywhere with a terminal illness, and that could be heart disease, cancer, Parkinson's, and we support people through our information support services and also through our direct care, whether it be at people's homes or in the hospice. The launch of Pennies through our long-standing partner Superdrug has been absolutely transformational for Marie Curie. It's been 8 weeks since we launched Pennies in Superdrug stores, and since then over £300,000 has been raised. That's enough to fund over 13,000 hours of Marie Curie nursing care, which is going to support so many more people across the UK when they need it most.
We are really, really proud of the money we raised so far, and we are looking to raise much more by the end of the year. The team feels like they have a sense of purpose, where their work helps raise money for charity, and we are really happy that it's so accessible to customers and it makes it so easy for us to do that for such a good cause. I think it's really simple, really easy. A small contribution ends up being a huge one at the end of the day.
Pennies is a fantastic way of engaging with a really large audience, making small donations but a huge impact. Just a massive thank you to everyone who's donated at till point to support Marie Curie.
Amazing. Now, if there's one thing that you can take away from tonight, is that 67% of people don't care about this little unit. They don't care about a penny. They'll never bend down and pick it up. And yet that example we've just heard, that in 2 minutes, somebody that needs that precious care at end of life will have the benefit of an hour of a Marie Curie nurse. It really is phenomenal how quickly pennies add up. But you've probably heard enough from me, so I'm going to pass back to Sally to introduce our next guest. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you. Thanks. I did say, didn't I, feel-good factor, inspirational. I mean, we're there already. So Tom's already had a name check, so let's give Tom a very warm welcome. This is Tom Essenhigh, who is Vice President for Retail and Hospitality at Worldpay. Tom, over to you.
Thank you. Wow, there's a lot of people in the room. And really hard to follow Alison and the video. But look, thank you so much for having me here today. So I'm Tom Essenhigh, VP of Retail and Hospitality at Worldpay. And at Worldpay, we're incredibly proud to be one of the founding Pennies partners. We've worked with Pennies for in excess of 14 years. And I'm really proud to say we've raised over £13 million via 51 million donations. So something we're incredibly proud of. Of course, none of that has been possible without the 14 shared clients that we've worked with to do that, including Superdrug, as Alison called out, which is probably the most recent of the ones we've worked with. And the most important thing of all is we've managed to help 600 charities, so I think that's an amazing achievement. But tonight we're here to celebrate all of those nominated and, of course, all of the winners. But I think it's really important also to thank Pennies. We've got Alison, Dion, Rosie, Paul, and the whole of the Pennies team that are here, and I think you can all agree, without them, none of this would be possible. So I think we should give them a huge round of applause. And I think the final thing for me is when I look around the room, there's lots of people from different organisations, different industries, and I think that really is testament to the power of micropayments. It gets everyone together for a shared cause, and we really are doing some great things together. So that was all I wanted to say, and thank you to everybody, and enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. Okay, now, could I invite all the panellists to come up and grab a seat, please? Do come on up. Give them a round of applause, please. Thank you very much. So we're going to get practical now and hear about our panellists' Pennies journey. So a very warm welcome to you all. Thank you all for joining us. We've got next to me Nick Merriman, Chief Executive of English Heritage. We've got Clair Preston-Beer, Chief Operating Officer of Greene King. Welcome. And we've got Tim Doubleday, Chief Financial Officer of Burger King. Welcome. And at the very end there, Regis Schultz, Chief Executive of JD Sports. Welcome to you all. So, Tim, if I start with you at Burger King, because you are quite a new adopter, literally within the last few weeks. Talk us through how it's going.
Yeah, so we, well, maybe 2 minutes on Burger King. So we're the master franchisee for Burger King in the UK. We operate 600 restaurants across the UK, 300 ourselves and 300 sub-franchised. So people like SSP, Moto, Welcome Break, some of those businesses in the room. And we have been operating now for about 7 years. And it's taken us that long to get to Pennies. But there are a number of reasons around that with technology. Yes, we this year managed to move forward, particularly around kiosks, because we had some issues with our payment card provider, not Worldpay, I hasten to add. Consequently, working with the Accolec team, who do a huge amount of work around the quick service restaurant business, we managed to get live on our kiosks, our self-service kiosks. And that's around about 80% of our transactions in store go through those kiosks. And that includes cash as well as credit cards that we can work through that. So,
and at the moment, you're testing it out in the south of the country, aren't you? It's not in all 300 Burger Kings yet. Yeah,
we're testing out in about 12 restaurants at the moment, but that's just to make sure that, from a trial perspective, everything is fine. We'll then rapidly roll out to the 300 restaurants that we own. I know SSP are doing a huge amount of work around this already. And actually the tech stack that we use and working with Accolec, we can replicate that across a number of different businesses, not just Burger King. So, to Alison's point, it sort of created a new technology opportunity for businesses. So.
And what was the reaction of your staff, people who are working on this at Burger King? Were they enthusiastic? What was their thoughts about this? Yeah,
I think you start off with it's an IT project, isn't it? So that always means it's going to be twice as complicated and twice as expensive as you ever thought it was going to be. But I was saying, we were up and running within 6 months from a standing start on new technology. Penny's team were excellent. They did practically all the work. Our team were not really distracted from the day-to-day business. So to actually get up and running was a lot easier than we thought it was. And I think just the collaboration between our team and the Penny's team has been fantastic. So thank you. To the whole of the team for that. We never thought we'd be up and running before Christmas this year.
And where will the money go?
So at the moment we partner with UK Youth, and we've been partnering with them for 2 years. We've just signed an extension to that for another 2 years. And as the name suggests, they're very much into assisting young people get into work, particularly from disadvantaged backgrounds. And also very key area is mental awareness and mental health. So our initial expectations is that we can support about 100 young people a week with mental awareness training and support through the youth clubs that they go to, or the helplines that we can use. But I would hope that we can do better than that. Okay, super. Okay, Nick, you're a bit different in that you're a charity anyway. So talk us through how you work with Pennies. When did it start? What was it like?
Yeah, of course. So a bit of background as well. 2015, English Heritage was spun out from a government arm's-length body as a new charity with the aim of being self-sustaining within 8 years with a tapering government grant on the basis that you can be like the National Trust. That's a bit of pressure, isn't it? Yeah, you can be like the National Trust, can't you? National Trust has huge endowments. So I was lucky enough to join the charity just about a year after the money ran out. Okay. You timed that well, Nick. Yeah, very good timing. To major on charitable purpose. So, of course, the main thing we've been focusing on is getting across the message that we no longer have any government support, and therefore we need to maximise, we're completely self-sustaining, we need to maximise our own income. And about 3 years ago, we came across Pennies and were sort of onboarded with them. It's taken really until the last 12 months to really get into its optimal working for us, partly because of our own infrastructure not being particularly brilliant. But now we've upgraded our tills. We've got about 100 sites where people pay, and we have cafes and shops and so on. And we've now rolled out across a range of those. And in the last 12 months, we've raised £250,000, which is from a standing start from money we wouldn't otherwise have had.
Which is amazing.
It's really worked well for us.
And yeah, absolutely. And what's nice for people who go to visit one of your sites is when they give, it's actually going into that the site where they are. So the money's go. Is that right? Is that how it works?
Yes, exactly. There was some nervousness because, of course, Pennies is a charity. We're a charity. We are raising for ourselves. So there was a concern amongst some of my colleagues. Well, is this a double ask? Because we're asking people to pay to go into the site or take out a membership, and then we're asking them to donate to us again. But actually, we've made the difference because, as you said, the money is ring-fenced. Anything raised on that site through Pennies goes to the maintenance and upkeep of that site. And actually, it's worked really well for us because people want to support their local site. And we've trained our staff now to say thank you when people press the button. And we say, thank you very much. Would you mind if we kept in touch with you about our further work? Many people say no, but for those that say yes, we get contact details, and that can be the beginning of a journey for a greater engagement with that micro donation, perhaps becoming something bigger in the future.
How many sites have you got?
We've got 400 across the portfolio, 100 where we pay. When we get pennies rolled across all 100, we think we can double it to £500,000.
Is Stonehenge one of those where they pay?
Stonehenge is one of them, yes. The payment at all of our sites at the moment is 25p, except at Stonehenge where it's £1. And the reason is they think Stonehenge visitors can bear that because they spend quite a lot of money both to get there and on site, and about half of them are overseas tourists, so we feel that they would be happy to spend.
And just tell the audience what you said to me earlier about this Whirlwind Day tour, which includes Stonehenge, which is for foreign tourists, which I just cannot get my head around, what they do in 24 hours.
Yes, I mean, it's funny taking over English Heritage. You get to know all sorts of ins and outs of the tourism industry, and we rely very much on coach loads of overseas tourists who sign up, would you believe, to visit in a day Windsor Castle, Bath and Stonehenge. And they rush through. So we need to make it very, very quick to tap to donate.
Absolutely.
Because they've got very little time to spend with us.
Get in there. Bish, bash, bosh. Claire.
Hello.
Greene King, you've worked with Pennies for a long, long time, haven't you?
We have. So I think 6 or 7 years we've been working with Pennies. And Greene King, we have 2,500 pubs. About 1,500 of those are managed pubs that use the system. And we fundraise for Macmillan, which is one of our main partnerships. We've raised money for Macmillan for many, many, many years, and we've just hit £20 million fundraising for Macmillan, which we're
brilliant.
very, very proud of. And Pennies has been an important part of that. And if I give you some stats, so if I go back to last year, we raised nearly £4 million for Macmillan, and nearly 20% of that came through Pennies. So for us, it is just a really simple way for us to raise additional funds for Macmillan. Our teams do a phenomenal job with a lot of hard graft of raising the rest of that money. So for us, Pennies has just been simple, easy, and we found it's worked really, really well.
And how do you sustain the enthusiasm? You're sort of 8 years in, did you say?
Yeah. And so I think it's probably a number of things. So one, we have constant drumbeat of communication about Macmillan and our fundraising, and I think that's key. Secondly, we obviously have worked hard to give visibility to our teams about how much money they're raising down to site level, and that's obviously really important. And we make sure they can see the amounts they're raising through Pennies and the rest of their methods. And they then can see this is easy, therefore they don't press. They don't encourage customers to skip past that on the till. I think the other thing I would say is We've also worked quite hard to set the threshold at the right level. So in our pubs, it's a 25p donation at a £20 limit, which we have felt has worked for us. It hasn't interrupted our service experience for customers, and I think the teams therefore are behind it and bought into that.
It's quite important to get that right, isn't it? To gauge what your customer is willing to go for, and where there's a sort of level where they think, no, too much.
Definitely. And I think in the early days, that was part of what Greene King was exploring, was where do we set the right level here, so we don't slow down tills, we keep things going, and I think we've got that right. I think we'll continue to look at it, but yeah, I think we've got that right.
So going forward, thinking ahead, what's the next step, would you say?
So we need to keep evolving with how customers want to interact and spend their money with us. So at the moment we are working on how we integrate donating into our app that we're developing. So that's a key focus for us to make sure that we can leverage that over the coming year.
Super. Regis. Now I have to say, I have got lots of kids and there's quite a lot of boys. And whenever we go into JD Sports, I kind of feel very, very nervous. It's like my bank account is just going to be drained. It's the trainers, the gear. Oh, my goodness, they love it. Now, you've been with Pennies for 3 years, is that right, roughly?
Yeah, 2 years and a half.
And talk us through how it works at JD Sports and the reaction you get from customers there.
Yeah, I think it's really something that we want to give the opportunity to give back to the community. And I think that we start with the foundation. We are raising around 800,000 per year, 1 million. And I think that we try to move to a next step now with involving the store manager and the store team in the community and give back to the community, which is a little bit your example around it's to the side, because I think that, you know, what makes a difference, it's at the end. If it's only pressing a button, you tend to have some people at the till just pressing for the consumer and sometimes not pressing on the right one. Whereas they need to be able to answer the question, to be active in what we're doing and active with the community. And I think that's really what we want. We want to give back to the young people because that's our key customer target. But we want to do that through the store and really through the commitment and the engagement of the store.
And in terms of where the money does go, it's actually quite localized, isn't it? So it's lots of different places.
Yes, and I think that we start by putting everything in the foundation, and at the beginning it was very national driven, and we moved back to a model where we want to be more local because I think it drives more value and more commitment to the community.
Now, your accent's a bit of a giveaway, French origin, but lived all over the place. Now, JD Sports has proven to be pretty successful in Europe. Will you be taking Pennies into Europe?
Yeah, that's our dream. So we would like to have in all the country we operate in 28 countries in the world. We have 4,500 stores in the world, only 600 in the UK. So our bigger business is out of UK, and we start in Ireland, so which is a step in our international journey. And
so where next? Spain, maybe?
Spain is next, and after that, we believe that the world is to conquer the world. And
Would be great. In terms of in terms of those, who your staff, the people who work at JD Sports, how important is this for them? That JD Sports is contributing, is connecting to community, is playing a part?
I think it's really important because they really, we always say our staff look like our customer, and I think that one of the things we are very proud of is that we hired last year 10,000 young people below 18 years old in the world, and I don't think there is a lot of companies that are giving so much opportunity to people, to young people with no diploma, and we give them a career. And when you look at which is an extraordinary story, our HR director, which is in charge of the foundation, she was 15 years old in Bury. She's still in Bury. She's now HR director of a group of 100,000 people, and she started at the till, and that's really some of the story we have, and giving the opportunity to our people. It's something which is unique, and the number of people we are training, we give them a life and a job. It's quite very rewarding. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim, we were talking earlier about hospitality action. Just talk to the audience about that and the involvement and how Pennies may be connecting with that.
Yeah, so I do quite a lot of work in sustainability, but the S part, if you like, of what I do is with Hospitality Action, which is the benevolent charity for the hospitality sector. I think there's an equivalent in retail, but I can't remember the name of. And Hospitality Action has been going, thank you, has been going for well over 100 years. I've only been involved for about 9, but I sit on the finance committee there. And one of the things that I've always liked about Pennies is its flexibility. So we've said with UK Youth that we will contribute 10 out of 12 months of the year to them, and then the other 2 months we've kept open. And talking to Hospitality Action and talking to Alison, one of the things that we'd like to do is see whether we can bring together hospitality businesses, say for 1 month of the year. Something like October would be great, because a lot of what Hospitality Action do is about fuel benefit and helping people, ex-employees of the hospitality sector through the winter. So the flexibility with Pennies and to look at whether we can coordinate something as a sector to support the benevolent charity of the sector, I think would be a great opportunity for us to do something significant.
Good. Nick, Alison touched on how this year has been really tough for charities. Did you empathise with that? Is that what you're experiencing?
Very much so, and I think not just for charities, actually, for most people in the hospitality sector, for example, have been affected by galloping inflation. For many of us, also, the big factor that of course we can't control is the weather. We've had really 2 years now of really turbulent weather, and English heritage.
And that's going to continue, I
Absolutely. Most of our sites are ruins, and so they're outdoor, they don't have roofs. So when it's pouring with rain, people are less disposed to come. And as I say to colleagues, hoping for better weather is not a strategy. So, we need to begin to cut our cloth. So therefore, raising money, not just cutting costs, but also raising additional income, is absolutely core. And I say Pennies is brilliant because it's money we wouldn't otherwise have access to.
Yeah, absolutely. Claire, what about your sector in terms of, obviously COVID was an absolute nightmare for your industry. And since then, it's not been easy at all, has it? It's been a really tough journey for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that pubs have got such a special place in communities. And I think that we are focusing really hard on making sure that they're thriving places that remain, because I think we all know the good that they can do. So I think when challenges come along, it makes you more determined, I think, to make sure that we do keep doing a really good job of that. And so I think this sort of commitment to giving something back and making sure communities know we're a force for good is definitely something that we're focused on and the sector's focused on. So I think, raising money and showing customers and our team members that we're giving back is a really important thing for pubs to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if I ask you all, for anyone here in the room tonight or watching us online right now who might be considering engaging with Pennies, having not been there before, what would your advice be to them? Regis, if I start with you.
I think just engage your people first, and I think that it's quite easy to do. It's just engage your people.
Engage with people within your organisation, talk to them about
trying to make it a company-wide project, not your project. I think
you've got to get everybody on board. Absolutely. Tim, your thoughts?
I come back to my first comment that it's not as painful as you think it might be. So the team, the team do a great job.
I have heard that a lot, actually, from the various people that I've talked to over the years who have partnered with Pennies. They've all said they were dreading it to a degree because it is about payment systems and technology and change. And actually, when they got involved, it was nothing like as bad as they expected. Yeah, exactly. And then, I think to your point, if you can get the teams involved, the charity you work with, it just really helps the restaurant teams and shop teams just really get on board with it. Then, they can explain to people when they're using a kiosk or whatever, this is what it's about. Then, I think that side of it is really important as well. And, the sort of plans we've got as we roll out,
is very much around that kind of team engagement, and in doing so, actually finding the right level of donation.
Yeah.
So I think, to your point, we started off at 10p. Now, I think a lot of people do 25p and so on. So just looking at that in comparison to the size of the transaction, I think there's quite a lot of
What's the average
work.
spend at Burger King? Do you have an average spend?
Yeah, it depends which channels you're going through, because we have home delivery, we have drive-throughs, we have in-store. In-store, it's about £11–12 in store. Home delivery is significantly higher, and actually, as an opportunity for Pennies, if we could get the big home delivery aggregators on board with Pennies, I think
I was going to say, if you order through an app that brings it to your home, that system isn't there yet, I assume.
No, that system's not there, and that would actually be on the app of the Deliveroo's and Uber Eats and Just Eats of this world. But I think there's an opportunity to see how we can talk to them and see whether we can continue to build
Definitely.
from that.
Absolutely.
It's a massive growing part of all of the hospitality sector, that home delivery aspect.
Claire, your advice to anyone considering tipping their toe in the water?
I'm going to go for just consider the impact it could have on your team. The teams who are serving customers, interacting with people. I think it's a real galvanising, positive force that really generally can really help motivate your team. So I would think about that in your decision making, and don't underestimate that, because I think it's a really powerful thing.
And the messages, for example, the just Marie Curie and Superdrug, just that few minutes of video is so powerful, isn't it, in encouraging your customers, but also all your staff to get behind this.
Yeah, I mean, our team members work in communities where, let's be honest, 1 in 2 people in the UK suffer from cancer. Therefore, we're raising money for people they know, their friends, their family, their customers. So it's so powerful. That's why I think it can be a real galvanising, motivating thing for them.
Absolutely. And finally, Nick, your thoughts on what's the best course of action if someone is considering tonight getting involved?
Well, I would say don't just dip your toes in the water. I'd say jump in wholeheartedly. For us, as a relatively recent participant, it's one of those rare things where it's win-win for everybody. It's brilliant for Pennies. It's great for us as a charity, both collecting the money and then, using it for our own purposes. Of course, there's always tweaks about, getting the technology to work, but everybody said that that's not as painful as it might seem. But otherwise, it's been an entirely successful journey where everyone wins.
Okay, super. Thank you all very much indeed for being so candid and talking us through your journey with Pennies. It's been great. Thank you all very much. All right. We have got so much more to come, including the very important task of removing the furniture from the stage. So whilst they do that, we will talk you through what is still to come. So thank you to our panellists for sharing their stories about Pennies. And now, in a moment, once they have removed this, the chairs and everything else, we're going to see a short film which will illustrate, again, just how powerful Pennies is. Do you have any other helpers? We've got some music, apparently. Let's have a bit of music. There we are. A little bit of music. Movie in a moment. Well done, team. So now, do watch this short video.
We exist to support the seriously ill children that are treated at Great Ormond Street Hospital, and the work that we do helps them to have the best chance possible and the best childhood too.
It can be frightening, especially for children that have never been in hospital before. We provide all different play and fun experiences for the patients during their admissions.
It is a place for miracles. It's a place where magic happens. There are miracles in care when I see a little boy driving around the ward in the cars that we've got, getting ready for his chemotherapy. There are miracles when I see 13-year-old girls receiving first-in-the-world treatments that give them back their lives. It's just amazing to see some of the groundbreaking cures and care that my colleagues are delivering at GOSH, and you see it on the faces of children every day.
Since the Entertainer first launched with Pennies in June 2011, we have raised just under £6 million. That's just under 13 million micro-donations. There's been many benefits to using Pennies in store. Customers certainly do appreciate the fact that we as a business are looking towards trying to help the wider community, those in need and children. It's quite hassle-free, and it's just easy with a simple press of a button, they can actually donate. As it's a small amount as well, customers find it affordable and feel that it helps them make a contribution. Donations can range from anything between 1 pence to 99 pence, and such a small amount from a customer can actually make a big difference.
Without these donations, we wouldn't be able to celebrate children's birthdays, we wouldn't be able to create that fun, homely experience for them and their families.
It is amazing customers that make their micro-donations that make that happen, and without you, none of that above and beyond work would be able to happen at GOSH. So I hope if you watch this and you've given to Great Ormond Street Hospital charity, you give yourself a pat on the back and say, I am changing the world for seriously ill children, because you really are.
Fantastic. Well done. Gary Grant, Catherine on the front row, founder of The Entertainer. Well done. Been with Pennies from the beginning, really. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Absolutely amazing. Now, that is a fabulous example, another one of the difference that micro-donations makes. A penny at a time, quite literally. And now it's time to celebrate those who are proving to be social action superstars. It's time for the annual Pennies Awards, and picking the winners for this, the winners of these awards, is an extremely tough job. So let me introduce to you all these fabulous people. Thank you so much. This is the judging panel who had the very difficult task of working out who the winners are, and you can see the chair, Roger Alexander, there. Thank you all for your time and your energy and your enthusiasm for that. And to reveal this year's winners, I'm going to hand you back to Alison.
Thank you, Sally. And this is the most exciting and lovely part of my role, because to actually do the lovely piece when all the judges had to do the tough piece, because quite frankly, everyone is a winner. Just before I go on and announce the winners, I just wanted to say a word to Verifone, who are absolutely been the supporters of our awards this year. Without you, it just wouldn't happen. Verifone were also one of our founding tech partners. They've broken through £6 million they've helped us unlock. And just last week, we've got our first ever Pennies Android solution, and a very large merchant's looking forward to trialling it in the very part of next year. Might be nerdy again, Android, but we love Android, and it means more micro-donations. So Verifone, thank you. Now, we only have 5 awards, so we'll keep it as brief as we can, but we also want to recognise all these amazing superstars. The first award is to the Merchant Impact Award. And this is an award that's to recognise one of our partners that's actually looked at their donations, taken a specific action, and seen an impact as a result through more donations and therefore more social action and social change. The judges initially said that actually there are far too many amazing people. So the shortlist we have is quite a long shortlist in this absolute finalists for who were up for this award. They also decided that they were not going to have any highly commended other than for this category, because they said they really couldn't split between two. So only this category we have a highly commended. And that goes to an organisation who really were focusing on their people and really focusing on local. And we heard a lot from the panel tonight about the importance of unlocking your people. So what they do is they let local colleagues in the store vote for the local charity. They now have an induction plan that talks about Pennies and the local charity. And their vision is that you live locally, you shop locally, you give locally, and you impact locally. So I'm delighted to announce that the winner of the highly commended category was Booths. Well done, Booths. Now, the winner of this category, the judges decided, was based on data analysis. Do we all know about data analysis and insights? Absolutely. But was a data and analytical approach. They worked with us at Pennies to look at who the top performing venues were, who the middle were, and the ones that weren't doing so good. And when we dug in underneath, there was two things that they went about changing. One was they improved the customer journey, working with our technology partner to clear it out and make it much simpler. And they really worked hard to make sure that the point of sale material that's so important when you're looking to donate so you know who it's going to was being replenished much better than it was in the past. The second thing they did was, surprise, surprise, engage their colleagues. They had much engaged training, not just induction, but a reminder of the real impact they were having in each of the venues. As a result of that, this year they saw a 128% increase in the level of donations with those very small interventions. So I'm absolutely delighted and honoured to announce the winner of this category is Moto. Category, innovation and technology. We've talked a lot about how that's the future of Pennies. And so the judges shortlisted some amazing brands who made the finalist for this category. But in this category, there's one area that stood out in particular. And you probably might not be surprised if I tell you what the judges said. Split settlement is actually a really powerful potential change in the Pennies movement. It opens us up to SMEs, and it's the beginning of a very interesting journey. So I'm delighted to announce tonight the winner is Stripe. Now, the next award is a Partnership Breakthrough Award, and that's to recognise a partner that's broke through and actually delivered significant increase in donations in a 12-month period. And I'm delighted to share a number of finalists that the judges felt were worthy of this award. But the organisation that they chose to win this category, they have worked really, really hard to be first. They were first in subscription. And then, interestingly, it was their charity partner that put forward their nomination this year. It's their 15th year, their dementia adventure, their amazing charity, and the organisation that worked with them took them and ran a whole campaign to their customers about the importance of working to help people with dementia. They also worked to talk about how little pennies can really add up to making a huge difference. So I'm absolutely thrilled that the judges decide the winners of this award, with a 167% increase in donations over the last 12 months, is Freddy's Flowers. Congratulations. Now, this next award is a favourite of mine because I love to celebrate unsung heroes. Not just those that are leaders in the organisations, but those that are deep in organisations, quite often don't just do their role. And the common theme in this category is people that go above and beyond and live two of Pennies' amazing values, which is we care to our core and we try and make things happen. And all these unsung heroes are leading examples of what they do, not just for the job they were asked to do, but how they go way above and beyond, and often then become volunteers in their very own time. Now, all of the unsung heroes probably don't know who they are because people have nominated them. And so clearly I can't share a list of the applications for the Unsung Hero Award, but what I can assure you is every single one will receive a message from us sharing why they were recognised by their colleagues, so everybody can absolutely feel like a winner. But the judges decided on 3 different winners. The first winner is actually an organisation who work very closely with us. They help develop our assets, our digital assets. They help maintain our assets so that they're available every single minute of every single day. And we have pretty much 99.9% availability. They're a team that work tirelessly. They don't do this for profit. They don't just do it to the job spec. They actually volunteer their own time to make sure we get more APIs out there, we get more availability, we help merchants, and nothing is ever an issue. They are absolutely an extension of the Pennies team. And I'm delighted, therefore, to announce the winners are Ryan Taylor and Tom Noyes from Wirebox.
I just wanna be part of your
Now, the second winner is an individual who took on a project. He then decided the project was not just a really interesting project, but if he completed this project, there's no point in doing it unless we actually work out how we can share it with our customers. That's not what he should do during the day. He also decided that some people might be a little bit nervous because it's quite new. So they've created a package of work which will help any merchant either talk them through how to do it or help them how to do it. And of course, you may well remember a word from tonight, split settlement. I'm delighted that the second unsung hero was Rajan Patel from Stripe. And the third winner of the Unsung Hero Award is an individual who also does a number of firsts. It was an individual that was first in market in their sector. They actually had a huge website project on this year and a replatforming, and anyone in here that knows those words go, oh, don't put any other new projects on top because we need it stable. But he went, no, I can do it. I can make it happen. So he did make it happen. And actually, just today, we've heard that we've not only with their existing customers, we've just launched today for their new customers, and they are the first customer to do split settlement. So I'm delighted to announce that the winner of this category is Gopal Yendler from Freddie Flowers. Now, for this last award, which is the Outstanding Achievement Award, I'd like to invite Alex Snow from Verifone up to help us present it. Now, this award is really something that the judging panel looks at all of the submissions of awards and decide who do they believe really have had an outstanding time. These two organisations were actually put forward 4 times across the various different categories. We've actually heard from it a little bit today, but they've been an absolutely unbelievable partnership. So would you like to announce who the winner is chosen by the judges?
Certainly. It's a pleasure to announce the winner is Superdrug and Mary Curie.
Now, you know me for my fun facts, so forgive me for a little bit of indulgence, but one of their top performing store is Braehead in Glasgow at 30%. Well done, Braehead. Sorry, I just had to get that one in there. Thank you. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, I think you can obviously see that the judges had a really difficult job, but it's so lovely to be able to just say well done to some of the many people that are working so hard. But we thought to close off this award, we'd share our final video, which looked back at last year's winner of the Outstanding Achievement Award and to see what they've been doing since.
Several years ago, Evie was diagnosed with a very rare genetic disease that only 7 people in the world had ever been diagnosed with. So her speech would then start going and her mobility would worsen and her body effectively start shutting down on her. Make-A-Wish kindly granted Evie's wish to meet Father Christmas. It was just truly magical. The detail that they went to make sure every single child had the best weekend they could have was unbelievable. And whatever the future holds for Evie, we will still have the memories.
One of the wonderful things about Pennies is its ability to capture micro-donations that can add up to a huge difference to charities such as ourselves. We've been working with Poundland for the past 7 years, and Poundland provide grants to us via their foundation. And their ability to do so has been significantly improved by the contribution that Pennies is making through their stores, and at the same time it facilitates a conversation between their staff and customers about why it is that the Poundland Foundation is contributing to charities such as ourselves.
Personally and my team, we feel very proud to work for a business that puts the needs of others at the center of what we do. The benefits of Pennies is it just makes things very, very easy, very simple, and it goes alongside our values as a company. We raised 2.5 million, and that comes from almost 10 million donations. So to our Poundland Foundation, it's almost £2 million that was donated.
The micro-donation movement across the UK really is something special, and it's something that Poundland and the Poundland Foundation are really proud to be a part of. Every single one of those pennies donated at checkout really does add up to make a massive difference.
We absolutely pushed that button to round up that 10 or 20p, because those small donations added together make a huge impact, and I've seen personally and first hand the impact it can make for our family and other families in a similar situation.
And I think we all owe a huge thank you to Paul, Evie and Rosie for sharing their personal story tonight. And I guess I thought Paul said it better than any of us tonight, just push that button. So if there's one message, let's push the button when we're given the opportunity. Now, I'm going to close off for the evening, but before I do so, I just want to thank the Pennies team. We don't have a big team. We don't have an events team. Everybody in the team is involved in doing things. Some things they've never done before, some things they're thrown in to have to do, and they all work amazingly together to make it happen. But there's one individual in particular who now heads up our marketing and charities team that has absolutely been steering us all the way through from January this year to get to this point. I said to try and get some videos that made me cry. I think she nailed that too. But genuinely, Rosie, wherever you are, thank you so much. Thank you. Well done. Well done. Excellent. So I need to come to a close, which I will do very briefly. I hope you've been inspired tonight. In the words of Sally, I hope you feel good about being here tonight. And I hope those of you at home feel the energy and the enthusiasm that we are so blessed to have in this room right now. Now, as we look forward, I was thinking about what should we do? What should we challenge ourselves on? And I had two thoughts in my head before I came into this evening. You know, we will be 14 at 17 minutes past 10 on the 1st of November. It's amazing how you remember specific dates when amazing things happen. And that's when we had our first donation through Domino's Pizza. And of course, you've heard what's happened in the last 14 years. So if it's taken us 14 years to reach 250 million micro-donations, how long do you think it'll take us to reach the next 250 million? We don't know, because it all depends on all of you in the room. We thought maybe 5 years, or if we put a stretch, 3 years. So I think after the enthusiasm I've heard in the room tonight, let's go for 3. What do you think? Should we try and do it in 3? Yeah? Brilliant. Thank you. Let's try and do it in 3 years. Because I genuinely hope tonight you've taken away how tiny, simple little acts of individuals, of consumers, of companies, really do add up to making a huge difference. And so I invite you to wear your Pennies badge and start some amazing conversations, because you'll meet amazing people and they really will work out. Like, I went into my hairdresser the other day and she said, "Do you know you've got a penny on your coat?" I was like, "Yeah, let me tell you about that." But, you know, you just have these most amazing conversations which are just full of positivity in a world which is kind of hard sometimes. I'm a great believer in positivity. So please wear your Pennies badge and see what conversations you can get into. And maybe do something more tonight. If there's somebody you know that hasn't heard about the Pennies story, or you think we could learn from, or we think we should be talking about, please introduce them, because we love learning, we love growing, and we love trying to improve what it is that we're all set here to achieve. If you're an existing partner, you heard earlier on, like Booths and Moto, and the difference it made by really looking at those donations, and we can help you with 1 or 2 simple interventions that we think could really grow donations and grow the impact that you can make. You've heard today about a number of assets. So technology partners, we're in 2025 planning, and we want to double down to work with you to how you make your colleagues feel great and how we reach more of your customers, particularly with the agencies and the digital, where we now have a range of assets that, as we heard earlier, really make a difference. And if you're new to the movement, and if you're moved, please come and talk to one of our amazing partners, because what we heard tonight was the practical reality that really helped you think about some of the questions you might have and how we can help address them. But I just close by saying thank you. I invite you to join us. Join us in this movement. Join us to make a real accelerated social change in society. Just a few minutes or a few pennies at a time. Thank you.
Well done, Alison. You can relax now. Did I not say, as Alison has said, we might shed a tear this evening? We will. I'm certainly inspired. I'm challenged. I'm encouraged. And I have to say, in my job at BBC News, it is pretty tough, the news agenda, a lot of the time in terms of trying to get the good news out there, because there is so much that crowds out that. And so this is a night that I absolutely thoroughly enjoy. And as you can tell, I'm not being impartial right now at all. But hey, whatever. It's a wonderful night to be involved with. Congratulations to all those very worthy winners tonight. Well done to you all. And before we wrap up, we would like to say a few more thank yous. So just stay with me a little bit longer. At Rothschild, we'd like to say a big thank you to Holly. Where is Holly? Give us a wave. Holly Thomas and the events team. Wonderful job, Holly. Brilliant. Also the production and camera team, Ben, Michael and Miles. Smooth, wonderful job. Well done. And Neil Gill is the creative behind those wonderful films that we've been watching tonight. And as Alison said, we want to thank not only Neil for what he's put together that's really moved all of us, but the charities that work with Neil and those individuals who were willing to tell their stories. So thank you to them as well. And Joe Kaufman, tonight's photographer. Thank you to Joe for the job of taking the photos. And Alison has already stole this line. A huge thank you to the Pennies team. Small, beautiful, extremely powerful, led by Alison, who knocks them all out the park. Well done, and thank you to you all. So for those of you watching, still watching us tonight, you stayed with us. I'm sure you're really glad you did. Thank you for being with us throughout. Have a wonderful evening. And for those of you who are in the room, please do not rush off. I've got a very important instruction for you. Pick up your glasses as you get out of your chair, because we don't want any broken glass. So make sure you've got your glasses. But do stay. There's plenty more to drink and nibble on, and so many of you in the room. So please don't rush off. Have a safe journey home, though, when you do. Chat, connect, and let's talk some more about microdonations. Thank you so much. Have a lovely night.